We have a new Lion King film, and this time it's not a direct-to-DVD sequel. Instead, it is a prequel. So today, I thought it was time for me to stop and talk about Mufasa. Please note that everything that I will say in this video is just my very own opinion. My name is SW Nation, and you are free to comment down below your very own opinion on Mufasa, the Lion King. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter and that TikTok link. Those are in the description. And with all that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and let's just get right into our review.
The story about a prince who would come to be known as Scar and an orphan named Mufasa. Two brothers who set off on a dangerous journey to find a new home and a new family.
Lion King is tied with Aladdin for my favorite animated film of all time, and Mufasa was my top 10 highly anticipated film of this year. So with that being said, let's move right into the good. And the good thing that comes to mind here is that it's just refreshing to finally get another story in this world, and especially with the scale of a cinematic event. I know a lot of people would have wished that this film was going to be animated, and my response to that was, when I was writing this, I was like, Disney doesn't even make 2D animated films anymore. Like, it was either going to be 3D animated or live action. And people gotta understand, I mean, even if they did make a beautifully animated 3D, animated film, I still think that we would still have the same criticisms. Nothing would be different other than the fact that it's animated. And in fact, this film is animated. It's just photorealistic animated. I know a lot of people would have wished for this film to be animated in 2D, hand-drawn, just like the original Lion King. But Disney doesn't make films like those anymore. So the fact that we got it on this scale is something very special. I actually love the fact that we're getting truly like a proper sequel slash prequel to the Lion King, and it's like a sequel to the live action Lion King, but it's also a prequel to the original Lion King, but in live action form. So it's basically the prequel to the live action Lion King as well. Look, I expected nothing less from Barry Jenkins, an Oscar-winning director. Though I have never seen Moonlight, I had a lot of faith in this guy. Of course, he's an African-American male. I am African-American, but also, like I said before, he's an Oscar-winning director, so I really had faith that, okay, I love Jon Favreau. He brought Iron Man to me. I like Elf. I love The Mandalorian. I love Jon Favreau. But he did make a shot-for-shot remake of The Lion King. This movie not only looks like a real film, but it also plays like one with enough artistic flair that it makes it not look like a nature documentary. Speaking of the 2019 version, while it's not as impressive visually with the technology, I will give the 2019 version this. It killed it with the photorealism. It is incredible and a cinematic and visual achievement. Technologically, it's an achievement. And I wish that this film kind of looked that way as well, but creatively, there is enough dynamic direction to distinct this film from any other live-action Disney film, including that 2019 movie. This movie also improves on that one by actually having the animals emote and not just run around during song numbers. Visually, Barry Jenkins uses the virtual camera to tell an epic story about the bravery of this character and the rise of a king and a kingdom. A lot of people were thinking, how are they going to make Mufasa the king if he was an orphan and Taka is the prince? Well, Africa is a huge place. There are different packs of lions, different families of lions, and maybe just in this side of Africa, Mufasa is the prince. And in this side of Africa, Taka is the prince. And you know what? The moment that they introduced that idea, I was sold. I can't wait to see more of Aaron Pure. His voice lends himself well to the character of Mufasa, and the journey that he goes on makes you love the character even more. You also get the sprinklings of the James Earl Jones in there, but you also get all of the great Kingisms, the bravery, the speeches, and just everything about his character. you just really love to see on screen, including I forget the actor's name, but the person who plays Taka. You kind of feel sympathy for this character, and in a sense you want him to find his courage, and you also know that you don't want him to turn into Scar, but that's going to happen eventually because of what happens in this film. I read this one review on Rotten Tomatoes, and they made a great point about how Barry Jenkins tackles this film, this live action, quote unquote live action film, as an animated feature. And it shows the animals are emoting. They smile, their eyes are brighter, and I feel like the way that they move, the way that they're animated, it feels a little bit more loose, and they're not constrained to the live action photorealism that they were trying to go for with the 2019 version. And it's spectacular that Disney even allowed Barry Jenkins to go for it. I also love the relationship and the rift between Taka and Mufasa. And there was a time inside of the film where I was like, okay, Sean Chandler may be right. His turn was a little bit sudden. But then they course corrected by the end of the movie. And I was like, oh, okay, great. You guys cleaned it up. You guys course corrected. In my opinion, they course corrected. And I think overall, it kind of worked for me. And, I just like the fact that throughout the film, it just becomes apparent why they are in different positions by the birth of Simba. There are a bunch of emotional moments here, but there's also just a lot of heartbreaking moments where you just see the rift between the two brothers and how much you just don't want them to stop being brothers because you just love their chemistry together. And I think that's just a testament to its two actors, Aaron Pierre and the man who plays Taka. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. But as heavy as this film is, there is some levity in there. I think Rafiki gets a lot of great lines inside of the film, but also he's just a great character. Timon and Pumbaa being there just added a nice little spice to the film. They weren't overdoing it inside of the movie, but when it was time for us to have some jokes, when it was time for us to have some levity, putting them in there as a nice little spice helped out the film just a lot more. And just a huge surprise to me was Kiara, but especially who plays her, which was Blue Ivy Carter. I thought she did an incredible job. She kills it, man, way better than her mother, Beyonce. I mean, I love Beyonce's music, but she's not a great voice actress. She's not the greatest actress when it comes to Nala. Blue Ivy freaking kills it. She sweeps the floor with Beyonce. She's an incredible performer. I cannot wait to see more of her in the limelight. I cannot wait to see more of her in a career like this. I've also seen her on stage before as well. She's an incredible dancer, and voice acting, she kills it. She surprised the heck out of me. People can say whatever they want about nepotism. This girl has talent. But keep in mind, this is a live action Lion King prequel / sequel movie. So with that being said, let's move right into the bad. And the bad thing that comes to mind here is that the songs are just not as memorable as the original, which is fine, I guess. Look, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I feel like Disney overuses him a lot, and I feel like this is probably the one where he kind of struck out a bit creatively because his style of songwriting does not work for Lion King. Like I said, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I really liked Hamilton. I love In the Heights. It's my third favorite film of all time. I love Moana, and I love his work in Encanto. But his songs just do not work for Lion King. The songs don't have replayability, not even new classics. I personally only disliked one song though. The singing is all good. I feel like everybody sung great, but because of the story, the music was not only out of place, but also kind of unnecessary, especially when the songs remind you of the leftovers from Encanto. They do a lot of songs that are literally probably beat for beat from Encanto. Just different lyrics, different people singing them in a different context. But if you really listen closely, they all feel like Encanto songs. Seriously. Again, I liked most of them, but they did not work for a Lion King movie. In conclusion, Mufasa is an effective enough prequel. I loved it. I think from the moment it started, I was like, I'm hooked. If they lose me by the middle, no harm, no foul. Barry Jenkins, you tried. Well, guess what? It gets to the middle, I'm still hooked. It gets to the end, and I'm like, you guys freaking did it. This guy freaking did it. This guy freaking did it. You know, when people were like, oh my god, it's gonna be live action, you lose something when it's gonna be live action. This man, Barry Jenkins, tackles this beautiful story with breathtaking visual storytelling. Like, he almost tackles it like an animated film. There are sequences inside of this movie that look like they would look gorgeous in an animated film, and you can only do them in an animated film, and he found a way to make it not only grounded, but just make it look great. He has a style, he has a signature voice, and it's all over this movie. This movie's not made by committee. It's not written by committee. It has a great script. The cast is great. The songs were hit and miss. But personally, for me, I'm freaking shocked just how great the film actually turned out. I'm freaking shocked by how much I want to go see that again. I keep going back to the visual storytelling. Barry Jenkins is a visual storyteller, and man, he crushed it. I'm going to give this movie an A-, a 9 out of 10. And I would say it's not better than the original Lion King movie, but then again, what is? I mean, this is tied for my favorite animated film of all time with Aladdin. But it's up there with Beauty and the Beast. I don't think that is better than Little Mermaid. I don't think that is better than Aladdin for live action films, for live action Disney films. But I think it's right up there with Beauty and the Beast, and I really, really, really like Beauty and the Beast. Mufasa is a solid enough, effective enough prequel, and I think Barry Jenkins tackles this with grace and class. It is worth checking out. Alright guys, that is it for my review. As you can tell, I got a little bit geeked out by the end because I'm just so stoked and so shocked that this film turned out as great as it did. But please don't forget to check out that Twitter and that TikTok link. Those are in the description. And also, please don't forget to come back later for all the Lion King films ranked from the worst to the best. With all that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all next time. Peace.